Arriving 34 years after the original Karate Kid, in 2018, Cobra Kai hit laptop screens across the world via YouTube Red. The story follows a washed-up Johnny Lawrence, William Zabka, who wrestles with the success of his childhood rival Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio, and reluctantly becomes the sensei he always wished he had, revitalizing Cobra Kai Dojo. Now on Netflix, following YouTube Red's transformation into YouTube Premium, with 4 seasons out, Cobra Kai has gained a dedicated fan base in its own right. Today, we're looking at some facts you might not have known about the hit show's cast. Let's get right into shocking you guys. Will Smith is one of the show's producers. Both William Zabka and Ralph Macchio have executive producer credits on Cobra Kai, but they're not the only stars helping to run the show. Will Smith also has a producer credit on Cobra Kai and has a pretty clear reason to be invested in the project. The reason is that Overbrook Entertainment, the production company run by both Smith and his wife Jada Pinkett Smith, has owned a portion of the rights to The Karate Kid for around a decade. Specifically, they've owned some of the rights ever since their son, Jaden Smith, starred in the 2010 remake opposite Jackie Chan. Unfortunately, it's unlikely that we'll ever see Jaden Smith make anything other than an unrelated cameo in Cobra Kai. The reason being is that the 2010 remake is not part of what the Cobra Kai creators have referred to as the Miyagi-verse, and so it cannot be referenced in the show. Moving on, Xolo Mariduena had a super intense training regime. In Cobra Kai, Xolo Mariduena plays Miguel Diaz, a bubbly kid who's just moved to the area and winds up getting picked on. Diaz begs Johnny Lawrence to train him, inadvertently rekindling the rivalry between Daniel LaRusso and the Cobra Kai dojo in the process. Given that Diaz eventually starts working his way towards being a karate champion, it makes sense that Mariduena's training regimen was the most intense of the cast. Mariduena explained that he had one of the steepest learning curves, having to adapt to a huge workload of different exercise programs. Mariduena told Glitter Mag Rocks that his training consisted of a daily 2 to 4 hour regiment of working with professional stunts, martial arts, boxing, strength and yoga instructor teams to get me into amazing shape. He went on to say, "It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It wasn't just about learning martial arts, it was about the entire task of learning martial arts and then using it in a way that can be choreographed and filmed." Next up, Tanner Buchanan has the most martial arts training of anyone in the core cast. Tanner Buchanan plays Robbie Keene, the semi-estranged son of Johnny Lawrence, who gets drawn into the world of karate thanks to the kindness of Daniel LaRusso. Keene has his fair share of difficult and visually impressive fights, so it makes sense that the actor picked to play him would have some karate experience. What you may not have known is that Tanner Buchanan is the most proficient martial artist in the cast of any original Karate Kid movie or Cobra Kai. Buchanan has a purple belt in Taekwondo, about halfway to black belt, which is more advanced than any of the other teenage casts. In fact, Buchanan is the most accomplished of anyone in the Miyagi-verse, including both Macchio and Mr. Miyagi himself, Pat Morita. The only cast member who can beat Buchanan is the 2010 reboot's Jackie Chan, who, of course, has a black belt. Continuing, Jacob Bertrand's makeup and hair takes 2 hours to apply. Jacob Bertrand's character in Cobra Kai definitely has the most outlandish look of the bunch, but it didn't start out that way. Bertrand's character begins as the shy and retiring Eli, who soon gains a mohawk and a back tattoo and starts going by the name Hawk. Hawk's look is a huge part of his character, summing up his motive for staying loyal to Cobra Kai, as well as reminding us of his transformation. His haircut and tattoo also serve to show his physical appearance transforming as his moral code and motivations do, making them way more than just an aesthetic choice. Hawk's signature haircut takes a full hour to apply, and Bertrand has to sit for roughly half an hour while his back tattoo is painted on. However, it often takes a full 2 hours to complete the process, as Bertrand would dance around to keep his spirits up while the painting was being done. Next up, William Zabka almost said no to the show. Cobra Kai revolves around the performance of Billy Zabka as Johnny Lawrence, the reluctant sensei who slowly becomes determined to be better to his students than his own sensei was to him. However, it took a seriously compelling pitch to get Zabka on board with the project, since he didn't approve of Lawrence reopening the Cobra Kai. Elaborating on his stance at the Tribeca Film Festival, Zabka said, "It's Pandora's box for him. It's the snake that bit him, you know?" It's not difficult to understand how Zabka came to this conclusion when the Karate Kid trilogy makes the unhealthy nature of Lawrence's relationship to the Cobra Kai so obvious. Not only does LaRusso object to Lawrence bringing back the Cobra Kai, but Lawrence's own friends, who were former members themselves, also question his decision to do so. In the end, Lawrence decides to keep the Cobra Kai name, but only while staying committed to an entirely different set of morals. Moving on, it took a lot to convince Macchio to be on the show. Cobra Kai has proved itself to be a success, with a 3rd season being released in January and a 4th season already commissioned by Netflix. Given that Cobra Kai has been such an obvious slam dunk, it may surprise you to know that neither Zabka nor Macchio were on board at first. We've already discussed why Zabka was nervous about his character revitalizing the Cobra Kai after all the torment the dojo caused him. Machio, for his part, just felt protective over the Karate Kid legacy in general and was hesitant to say yes to a project after saying no so many times. It took many meetings with both actors individually for the creators to finally convince them that Cobra Kai was a good idea. Of course, both actors have since settled into the show and have said that they're thrilled to return to their iconic characters. Without wasting any more time, let's highlight how Peyton List was convinced she'd failed her audition. Peyton List appeared in Season 2 of Cobra Kai as Tory, a talented martial artist who strikes up a rivalry with a certain someone in the core cast. If you already recognize List, then chances are you've seen her work on the Disney Channel, which includes Jessie and Bunk. List was apprehensive about auditioning for Cobra Kai and was convinced she hadn't won the role since she auditioned so last minute. Her intuition turned out to be wrong, as she actually aced the audition and was thrilled to be offered the role. List's importance to the plot and core characters increased throughout Season 2, and fans predict she will play a pivotal role in Season 3 as well. Just as LaRusso and Lawrence's rivalry causes shockwaves throughout both dojos, the rivalry between Samantha and Tory is theorized to have similarly huge consequences. Did you know that most of the Cobra Kai actors are actually professional dancers? Despite almost everyone in the Cobra Kai core cast having at least a couple of awesome fights under their belt by the end of Season 1, most of the characters that were cast were not actually martial artists. Despite this, they were specifically chosen based on how well they could adapt to the stage fighting, and one marker in particular was used to decide how well they would succeed. Specifically, the casting director tried to pick actors with a background in professional dance or gymnastics. Aside from the main characters, almost all the kids training at either dojo have worked as professional dancers at some point in their careers. The reasoning is that if someone is used to picking up dance choreography quickly, fight choreography shouldn't be that different. There's also the fact that they would have the stamina to learn, rehearse, and shoot the long fight scenes, and would be used to paying specific attention to their movements. Finally, Nicole Brown wasn't asked to return for Season 3. Miguel might have kicked off the whole plot of Cobra Kai by pushing Johnny Lawrence to take up karate again and start teaching, and by being his first student. However, one student does not make a dojo, which is why the character of Aisha, played by Nicole Brown, is so important. And so it's not a desire to beat her bullies in a fight that encourages her to join Cobra Kai. Instead, Aisha wants to learn how to be confident and proud of herself, so she can ignore the digital harassment she faces from the popular girls at school. Aisha is the most morally sound of the Cobra Kai crew, and she maintains some close relationships with her rivals, something that has made her beloved amongst fans. Unfortunately, Nicole Brown recently confirmed that she wasn't asked to return for Season 3, as the writers couldn't find anything for her to do. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for sticking with us till the end. Comment below which fact surprised you the most.